Hello everyone, my name is Jamin. Thanks so much for visiting my channel. In this video, I have a Legion Y7000, the 2019 model. I'm going to show you how to get inside and many of the components you can access and upgrade once you're in. So first thing, power down your computer through the start menu. Make sure it's off and unplugged from your charger. We're then going to flip the computer over to access our bottom case screws. There are 11 screws on the bottom case. Once you remove those screws, you're going to take a small, flat, preferably plastic pry tool. I say plastic because it'll scratch your case far less than a metal one will. You're going to go around the seam of your bottom case and pry it off from the rest of your computer. Now be careful not to put your pry tool too far in. You could damage some internal components. Keep it on the edge. Go nice and slow, careful but firm, and you'll be able to get that off. It's generally best to start out back near one of the back corners. And if you get stuck going in one direction, just leave it, start on the other side, and continue around. Once you get your bottom case off, this is what you're looking at for the inside of your computer. Now, as a general computer repair side note, whenever I'm working on a computer in my shop, it's sitting on an anti-static mat. Either that or an anti-static bracelet are great ideas to avoid damaging anything in your computer when you're working on it. If you would like help with tools or supplies for your computer project, as well as any replacement or upgrade parts for this specific model, the Y7000, I will have a link above, also below in the description, and that will be a list of all the tools and supplies, as well as those replacement and upgrade parts for this computer. Now, before touching anything in a computer, it's always wise to remove or at least unplug your battery. Computers are safest to work on when as little power as possible is running through it. Your battery is right down here near the bottom right of my screen. This battery is an 11.52 volt battery, 57 watt hour, and the part number is L17M3PG2. I will have all that information below in the description if you need it to look for a replacement, but I will have a replacement battery below in that link I told you about with all of those replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. It's held in by these 5 screws near the red arrows, and it plugs into the motherboard right here. Now, usually it's best to not pull on wires if at all possible in a computer. Sometimes you can damage them or pull them right out of the plug. However, in this computer, there's no give here. There's no extra wire to grab onto. So I had to unscrew the battery, take the battery out, and then gently wiggle that out by pulling on those wires, unfortunately. So it's not ideal, but you had to go slow and gentle, and you can wiggle that plug out of the port. I guess the last thing to shout out about this kind of a repair, if you're here because your laptop's not turning on, you could have a bad battery and it may need to be replaced, but keep in mind that most laptops should still turn on and work even with a bad battery as long as the charger's plugged in. So if your computer's not turning on, there may be another reason why other than just a bad battery. If you would like help troubleshooting why your laptop's not turning on, there will be a link above. Also below in the description, that'll be a full tutorial video showing you how to troubleshoot that situation with your laptop. Your RAM is right here in the center of the computer. There's a guard over it here. It's not screwed down, so you can just grab it and wiggle it off. Maybe you can use a small plastic pry tool to just stick under there and gently pry that off, but it'll come right up. Once you get it up, you reveal these 2 RAM ports back to back right here. Now, this computer takes DDR4 SODIMM RAM at 2666 megahertz, and the maximum capacity for this computer is 32 gigabytes. I will have all the RAM information below in the description if you're looking for your own replacement or upgrades, but I will have a couple different options below in that link I told you about with the replacement and upgrade parts for this computer. Most of you stock will have 2 8 gigabyte sticks, which makes a total of 16. So assuming some of you are here to just replace one that has gone bad, but you don't want to spend more money than you have to, I will have a single stick of 8 gigabyte RAM if you're looking to just get one. But for those of you that want to fully upgrade and max out your RAM, I will have a 32 gigabyte kit, which will include 2 16 gigabyte sticks, one for each port. And I always tell my customers that if you're trying to increase your performance, upgrading or maxing out your RAM is probably the easiest and cheapest ways to do that. The way that RAM works, you'll see there's 2 spring-loaded metal arms on either side that hold the RAM stick in place. To release the RAM, you would gently pry those arms apart, away from the RAM stick. The RAM stick will then release. Oftentimes it'll pop up a little bit, and then you can slide it out of the port. To get RAM back in, if you notice in your computer, there's a long section to the RAM stick and a short section. So you can't plug it in upside down. It can only go in one way, the correct way. So once you get it plugged in nice and flush and flat, make sure this gold part is nice and even all the way across. That's how you know it's in there flat. Once you get it in, just press down in the center, and then those metal arms will latch onto it and hold it in place. I guess the last thing that I'll mention in this video about upgrading your performance or your speed, if you do want to upgrade that and you are looking at a RAM upgrade, the next way to upgrade your computer would be the storage. So for storage in this computer, we have this location right here. This is a 2.5-inch SATA connection. You can have a hard drive or a solid state drive here. And then this storage port, this is an M.2 solid state drive port right here. So two different storage locations. We'll talk about this hard drive first. Many of you will have a 500 gigabyte to a terabyte sized drive here. This port can handle up to 2 terabytes of storage. So below in the description, in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts, I will have 4 different options for this location. I will have, as far as a hard drive goes, I will have a 1 terabyte and a 2 terabyte size. And then I will have 2 solid state drive options that will fit into this port. Again, one being a terabyte and one being a 2 terabyte. As a side note, if you want to watch a quick tutorial video just educating you in the difference between various kinds of solid state drives and hard drives, just so you understand them a little better and which one is best maybe for what you want, there'll be a video link below in the description, and it will be that. It'll be a quick educational video explaining the differences between those storage devices. And then this port right here, this is the M.2. It takes PCIe NVMe Gen 3 solid state drives, and this can be run up to 512 gigabyte size. So below in the description in that link, I will have 2 different options for you as far as this storage port goes. I will have a 256 gigabyte drive and a 500 gigabyte drive to choose from. And the reason why I include that small one, what a lot of people do with this type of storage setup where they have a hard drive capacity and a solid state drive, is they take a smaller solid state drive because they can run a little more expensive than hard drives. So they'll take a small one, maybe 256, they'll put their operating system onto that drive so that it runs very quickly. And then they'll use a larger 1 or 2 terabyte hard drive because hard drives are cheaper than solid state drives. And they'll max this out and use that for their files, their pictures, their videos, their long-term storage that doesn't need to be very quick like the operating system does. Kind of a nice, efficient way to not spend as much as you could, but get good outcome from it. The way to get your hard drive out, it's held in by these 4 screws near the red arrows, and it plugs into the SATA connection near this green arrow right there. So you would undo these screws and gently take it out, and then you would be careful, but you would unplug it from this hard drive connector right there. Don't just rip it out because this plugs into the motherboard here. So you don't want to rip that out and damage it. But just hold the hard drive, hold the connector, and wiggle those apart from each other. After getting this out, if you want to replace your hard drive, the hard drive is actually inside this metal bracket that goes around it. It's called a caddy, and it's got 2 screws on each side, 2 here and 2 here. You would undo those screws, and then you could take the actual hard drive out of that metal caddy. And then you can put your new drive in, screw it to the caddy, and then screw the caddy down to the computer. The solid state drive here in the M.2 port, that's held in by a single screw here. Once you undo that screw, then you can pull this down and out of this port right there. I guess some of the last things to mention about this kind of an operation, if you are upgrading your drive for any reason, you may need to install an operating system onto it afterwards. Drives usually don't come with pre-installed operating systems. If you would like help with that, I will have 2 video links below in the description. One will show you how to install Windows 10 onto a Lenovo. The other will show you how to install Windows 11 onto a Lenovo computer. And last thing to mention, if you are replacing a bad drive, if there are files on that drive that you need to recover or you would like to recover, data recovery on bad drives is possible. And on most bad drives, you can still get data off of it with various data recovery techniques. I will have more information about that below in the description as well. But after removing your battery, you reveal your CMOS battery right here. It's stuck down by double-sided tape and it plugs into the motherboard right here. If you're here to replace this battery, I will have a replacement option below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this computer. And if you are here to replace it, you can just pull that right up. Again, it's just double-sided tape. It's not screwed down or anything. You can just pop that right up and replace it after unplugging it. If you're here to reset your BIOS, you don't have to pull the battery up. You can leave it stuck down. Just use your fingernails or a pry tool, maybe a small pair of pliers to wiggle that out of that port right there. After leaving it unplugged for maybe 15-20 seconds, that's usually sufficient to reset your BIOS system settings. Now keep in mind that will usually only reset your BIOS system settings and not your BIOS password. If you want more BIOS password reset information, check out below in the description in the FAQs. And I guess the last thing to mention about this kind of a repair, resetting BIOS this way is a common troubleshooting step if your laptop's not turning on. If that's why you're here and you would like the full troubleshooting step-by-step guide and how to find out why your computer's not turning on and how to fix it, there will be a link below in the description, and that will be a link to troubleshoot why your laptop's not turning on. You have two speakers here. This one's near the bottom left of my screen under your hard drive and your solid-state drive. It's not connected to the motherboard. It runs by this wire threaded down through here and connects to this speaker bar. And then this one has a wire that comes out through here under this guard and runs up here and plugs into the motherboard right there. Be very careful if you're unplugging this speaker from the motherboard. That wire is very fragile, very thin. Make sure you only manipulate the plug and not the wire itself. Try not to pull on that wire. Also, another word of caution, when you are replacing your speakers, if that's why you're here, make sure you pause this video or take a picture, better yet, of your exact model computer. Make sure you run these wires exactly how they're run in your computer so that they don't get pinched on anything when you shut your computer back up and then get damaged. And I guess the last thing to mention, if you are here to replace your speakers, I assume you're having some sort of audio issue. If you see your audio not consistent across different types of software, different programs, it may not be your speakers. If you hear that nasty junk sound every time your bass kicks in, then yeah, most likely your speakers are bad and need to be replaced. But if it's just another audio or sound quality issue, it may be a driver or system update issue. Before you get in here to try an invasive repair like this, make sure all your system drivers are up to date. I will have a video link below in the description, and it'll show you that tutorial video, how to update all your drivers so you can rule that out before coming in here. Your Wi-Fi card is right here toward the center right of my screen. It's held down by a single screw underneath this yellow piece of tape. Some of you may have it, some of you may not. And then after that, all you have are these antenna wire that snap onto it. So those are just snaps. Those will snap directly up and off of the Wi-Fi card. And to get them back on, they do need to be at a perfect 90-degree angle to snap back on. And you are strong enough to damage them if they're not at the right angle and you try to force it. So just go slow, be patient. It's probably going to be a pain in the butt if you're not used to it, but you will be able to get those back on safely without damaging them. I will have all the Wi-Fi card spec information below in the description if you want help looking for your own replacement. However, I also will have a replacement option in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. And I guess the last thing I can mention about a Wi-Fi card replacement, if you're having trouble seeing your Wi-Fi options, if you can't see any networks and you can't even pull up your Wi-Fi options, it's probably not your card. It's probably a system driver issue. I will have a video link below in the description, also up top in the video, and it'll show you how to troubleshoot and fix that situation if you cannot access your Wi-Fi options. You have two fans up here near the top of my screen, two heat sinks that come down over your CPU, GPU area. To get your fans out, you have these three screws here, these two screws here. They plug into the motherboard. The left one plugs in here, and the right one plugs in here. Now be very careful with those wires. They're very, very small, very, very fragile. Definitely don't want to put any stress on the wire. Just pull out the plug from the port right there. After you get those fans up, you can clean them out, replace them, whatever you're here to do. I will have fan replacement options for you below in the description in that link I told you about with all the replacement and upgrade parts for this model computer. If you want to get your heatsink up, you have three screws here, and 4 screws here. Now, as a word of caution with messing with your heat sinks, if you take your heatsink up for any reason and you expose that thermal paste to air, you do then need to reapply it. Once it's been separated and exposed to air, it's not going to do its job well, and it's got to be cleaned off and reapplied. If you need help with that process, I will have a video link below in the description. It'll be a tutorial in how to fix an overheating laptop. One of the things it will show you is how to clean off all the old thermal paste. You don't want to put new thermal paste on top of old thermal paste. And it will also show you how to apply the right amount of new thermal paste. If you apply too little, it won't do its job. If you apply too much, same thing. You could end up locking heat in rather than facilitating its transport out. So that video will be down below in the description if you need it. I will also have a couple different thermal paste options for you below in the description in that link with all the replacement parts and tools. I will have one on the cheaper end, but it will still work well in this laptop. And I have a little more expensive one if you want a little more heat performance out of that. Last couple things to mention, the CPU and GPU, these are not removable, they're not replaceable, they're soldered into the motherboard. And then one small thing up here, you see this little Lenovo sticker? That's a warranty void sticker. A lot of computers use these at various points in the computer, and if they're disturbed, it can void part or all of your warranty. So consult your warranty, find out what's going on with it. Just be aware of that when you see stickers like this. The other thing I'll mention, if you are delving deeper into the computer to remove boards, you will see a lot of these ribbon cables here, these long ribbon cables. They're over here too. These cable connectors are very fragile and they're easily broken, so you definitely want to be careful when operating them. If you do break these black clips, you're probably not going to be able to find a replacement, which would mean your ribbon cable may never secure down well again. So be very careful. The way they work, these black clips operate almost like a book cover. It opens from the bottom, its hinges are on the top where it meets the white port. And the way to operate it is you take a small, very, very flat pry tool and you slide it underneath the black clip from this direction and you gently pop it up to release the ribbon cable. Then to get the ribbon cable back in, you'll slide it in, be very careful, pop the black clip down. So that's how you operate it. Be careful. Again, very fragile. If you're here to gain access to your LCD assembly, the way that most of us in computer shops prefer to fix an LCD assembly is to replace the entire assembly, which would mean we'll unplug your LCD cable, we'll unscrew the hinge assemblies, and then take the whole LCD assembly off and replace it. It's a lot easier, a lot faster. You don't risk breaking anything inside the assembly, but it does generally cost a little more than just replacing your LCD. If you would like help replacing your exact LCD because you want to open up the assembly and get at the actual LCD, there'll be a video tutorial link below in the description showing you how to do that. It'll be a general tutorial. If you need help with your specific model, leave me a question, leave me a comment, and I'll try to help you out. But that's the end of this video, how to tear down the Y7000, access and upgrade many of the internal components. Thanks again so much for watching. Please remember to like and share if this helped you out, if you think it can help someone else out. And feel free to subscribe if you enjoy DIY computer content like this, or if you just want to keep me on hand to answer any of your future computer questions. I do try to answer all questions throughout my channel at least a couple times a day. Also, feel free to check out the related links section below in the description. From time to time, I do try to add things in there that I think will help you with your general computer life, make it more productive, more enjoyable. So thanks again for watching, everyone. I look forward to seeing you on my next video.